Hi, folks. Thanks for tuning in to our 7th Unity 2020 Campfire. The Campfire is a place where people have gathered for millennia to discuss and share ideas. And today we're carrying on that tradition in the most pressing times of our lives. So I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Elizabeth, and Ryan to the left of me and Rylan to the right. I think that's right. The three of us are all Unity 2020 volunteers, and we are so excited to be here with you today to announce the winning ticket for the ranked choice vote. But first, in the spirit of a campfire, we would like to light some candles. So I believe we were all able to assemble our candles before the show. Is that right?
The paraphernalia is in hand.
The ceremonious lighting of candles. And I have two here for all of you out there. Great. Okay, so I think we should start with a little bit of a recap of how we got here. Why are the three of us sitting here in front of you today, and why did so many of you vote in the Unity 2020 election just yesterday? So Rylan Grady is going to kick us off with a little bit of an explanation of how we got here.
Sure. Well, welcome everyone, and thanks, Elizabeth. So Unity is a plan. This is 100% self-organized, self-funded, self-driven. There's no curtain behind which other things are happening. It's just us. We're just Americans. This is what we're trying to do. And really how this started was a Medium article. Late June, Brett Weinstein wrote this idea for a plan to essentially take the presidency with a pair of highly capable, highly courageous patriots, one from the left, one from the right. And the goal here is that we're going to draft those people. We're going to pick a set of candidates and elevate them to the presidency, and it's all of our responsibility to make that happen. And that's really how it stands. The next step from those announcements was just an email list where you could say that you have an interest in this plan. Someone very quickly put together a Slack group. Me and a few others were there within 10 days of that, and the rest is what we've been doing. So we organized a website. We started putting together some live stream events, and we wanted to make sure that the group of people which we brought together was able to have an input on who we think the best candidates are to draft to lead this country. So we took some public input on our website. Early in August, we started taking nominations, and we received thousands of those, very detailed nomination requests for individuals who are eligible to be the president. And so we looked through that set. We took the most popular ones that met the eligibility criteria of the presidency and of the plan as specified. And we listed those 6 for a debate period. Those 6 were Daniel Crenshaw, Tulsi Gabbard, William McRaven, Jesse Ventura, Andrew Yang, and John Jocko Willink. And that's where we were at. About a week ago, 8 days ago, we announced our mechanism for voting for the registration of voters for this primary, and that was being an email subscriber before a certain date to prevent malicious activity and joining and attempting to game that system. And just a short time ago, we conducted that vote. So Sunday was vote day. And we went through the ranked choice voting, and that's where we're at. So, again, this is us. We're the people. We welcome you in joining us, but we're making this happen as best we can, and there's nothing more to it than that. So please continue to follow along and participate here. We're so excited to have you with us. Ryan is the lead here on some of the voting tech, and would love to have him kick us off a little bit on some of the details of the vote and get us ready for this announcement.
Yeah, thanks, Rylan. Before I go right into the details of ranked choice voting, though, I want to riff on something you said about This Is Us and our team. I read a book several years ago called One from Many, Visa and the Rise of the Chaotic Organization. And it was by a guy named Dee Hock, who is the founder of Visa. Yes, that Visa, the credit card clearinghouse that spans the world. And it's interesting when you bring Visa up in a conversation is that, no one knows what the stock ticker for Visa is, despite that everyone has one in their pocket. No one knows, who the CEO of Visa is, despite the fact that everyone has one in their pocket. And in reading this book, he describes the management style that created this giant globally spanning organization that clears most of the finances for the world. And he coined this term chaotic to be sort of this yin-yang sort of combination of chaos and order, where there's just the right mix of who's quarterbacking right now, who's got their eye on this particular ball, and that responsibility and leadership is also coupled with the understanding that things need to happen yesterday and pick up the ball and get rolling with it. And ever since I joined this team, or ever since I read that book, really, I wanted to be in that style of organization where it wasn't the stifling bureaucracy, but it also wasn't the complete chaos of like an anarchist commune, right? You need that right balance of those two values to be adaptable and quick, and really make things happen and deliver. And for the first time in my life, in this Unity 2020 movement, I've seen that every day when we're on the Slack, when we're deciding what to do. It's, everyone's listening to everyone, everyone's taking the bull by the horns. And I just want to say thank you to everyone watching. All of you are making this happen every single day. And I have faith that we're all going to continue to keep making this happen every single day. So that's just me on my mini soapbox, but I can get to the brass tacks of ranked choice voting now.
Before we do that, Ryan, and thank you, this wouldn't happen without our team. And we have over 1,800 people in a Slack, and we have even more supporters out there every day talking about what we need to do here to save the country and do what we can to do so. And before we get to the intricacies of ranked choice voting, we do want to ask our audience a question through Democracy AI. And so this first question is, how do you feel about the concept of ranked choice voting? And some of you might not be familiar with it, some of you might be, and it's a different way of voting that we don't typically see here in the States. So we'd just like to get a feel for what you guys know and feel about it now. So if you want to go ahead, I think Noah has triggered the question. There we go. Yep. We've got a great team on the back end too. Noah, Chris, and Zach are making this all happen. So really is a team effort. So while people are answering the questions about how they feel about ranked choice voting, Ryan, do you want to step in and talk a little bit more about what that actually means?
Yeah, absolutely. So traditional first past the post popular election is basically simple majority, right? And the game theory of what plays out when you have a system like that is basically what we have now. You get a sort of a deeply rooted duopoly, right? Where you have two major groups or camps or parties that basically vie for the title of the lesser evil. And it gets us into this nightmare that we're currently trying to deal with, which is, I think of it just that, pragmatism becomes more important than patriotism when people are casting their votes in a first past the post system. So ranked choice voting is an alternative that frees you from the obligation to put all of your eggs in one basket, because when you put all of your eggs in one basket, you tend to wind up being cautious and worried, and you become an easier target for those that would want to use fear to motivate you, because they can just point the other side as extraordinarily devilish. So the way ranked choice votes is, let's use ourselves for example. We had 9 tickets, which were a combination of 3 on the left and 3 on the right, shuffled to create a total of 9. And what happens is each voter orders their preference of those options. And first round, you count up all of the totals of everyone's first choice. Now, if someone at that round has a more than 50% majority, then they are the clear landslide winner and they're declared victory. If no one has more than 50% of the vote after that first round, what you do is you drop off the person who was last in the ranking, and then anyone who had put that person or that ticket as their first choice gets to recast effectively. It's an instant runoff. Their second choice is then applied among the remaining 8, right? And then you check again. You say, do they have 50%? If yes, then you're done. If no, then you lather, rinse, repeat. And you do that for as many times as it takes, such that someone accrues a 50% or greater majority, or a greater than 50% majority. Excuse my misspeaking.
Yeah, thank you for that breakdown. It might sound a little complicated, but I can tell you that it feels really good to do. It feels really good to prioritize your vote instead of choosing a one and done sort of deal and just saying this one, not that one. It feels more adult in a way to rank your priorities instead of just making a blanket binary choice. And I think that this is, a ranked choice vote is so important for the democratic process because it allows people's voices to really come out. And it's not a popularity contest. It's really about, what the most people want. And a completely fair election is not possible. I don't know if you're familiar with Arrow's theorem, but he talks about how there is no such thing as a fair vote made by a group of people. And so what a ranked choice vote does is it gets closest to that. And we were really happy to make that happen here at Unity2020. I know it was my first time. Rylan, was it your first time doing a ranked choice vote, or are you familiar with this from before as well?
So this is certainly the most consequential ranked choice vote that I have yet cast.
Yeah, that's for sure.
I'd also like to. Oh.
Go ahead. No.
Yeah. Well, no. Just something I noticed as people were participating, it was really cool to see how many people, and I felt this myself, were like, "Oh man, I'm ordering all these priorities, and I'm just coming to realize that any of the 9 of them are better than the 2 options we're being forced to choose before." So we have the best sort of problem in this community that we already had. We were choosing between the best, what we thought the best was, of several amazing options, which was just an incredibly encouraging thing to have happen when casting a ballot.
And if you contrast this process with the process that essentially unfolds every 4 years for president, the primaries are done by state, so there's a little bit of nuance there. But essentially what we do is we have multiple first past the post races in a row. So everything bad about a first past the post race, it gets amplified, right? If you have take all the people who are members of one party and they go through this process, and all of the voting for the lesser evil and tuning down your expectations in order to get something that's not the one that you think is terrible. If you do that enough times, well, you get the choices that we have this year.
Exactly. And so, I mean, it sounds like we're all pretty much in favor of it. And I'll say that our audience agrees. There's an overwhelming support for it. We have answers. Great. Every election needs it. All for it. I've supported it for a long time. Needs to be implemented more broadly. Strongly support it. So I would be interested to know, and Noah, maybe we could fire this away with the audience. Was this your first time doing a ranked choice vote? Had you been familiar with it before? Just to kind of get a feel, because it is something I think really neat, and something that you're right. The audience is right. Should be implemented more widely. So yeah, and so if we just ask that question, that would be great. We can go through the answers a little bit later. So next, I think the moment that we've all been waiting for is the announcement of the Unity 2020 ticket. And this is a really exciting moment for the movement and for all of us who've been working on it for so long. For Brett, Brett wishes he could be here tonight. He's not, but we are carrying on in his honor. And without further ado, after the voting process, the ranked choice voting process that over 8,000 people participated in, which is a phenomenal number. Really, that's an overwhelming amount of support our leading ticket for the Unity 2020 primary was Tulsi Gabbard and Dan Crenshaw with 53.3% of the vote. And our runner-up ticket is Andrew Yang and William McCraven, receiving 46.7% of the vote. So let that sink in for a second. And next, I'll say that this is a candidate draft. And the aspect of a draft is really important because it means that we don't expect these candidates, Tulsi Gabbard, Dan Crenshaw, we don't expect them to join today or tomorrow. We need to create the conditions in which they can feel compelled to step forward. We need to build this groundswell, and we need to show them that their support and their leadership is what this country really needs.
Right. To be clear, we are 60 some days from election day. And so the ask right now for anyone who steps up to run for president is a significant one. And the biggest thing that we can all start to do more of now is to, as much as possible in the public mind, put our leading ticket, put those candidates up there in people's mind with Trump and Biden. Let that sink in their minds, thinking about those individuals versus the two nominees from the major parties we have right now.
Absolutely. And we've got to start today. We will be working on releasing some tools for you all to use, for us all to use, I should say, to help refer your friends, family, co-workers, nieces, nephews, grandparents, random new friends on the street that you make while mutually complaining about the absurdity of our federal politics right now. And we're going to be running a referral campaign because we know that this can go viral. We know how fast information can spread, but we need you to spread it. We need all of us to be advocating for this, to be rallying around this idea so that we can show the world that it's possible. So we're gonna be working around the clock to equip everyone with all the tools that we can to help them and help you and help us maximize the reach of this movement. But don't wait. Get started today.
Yeah, this is really how we deliver solid leadership in this country. I mean, you know, Tulsi Gabbard, Dan Crenshaw, William McCraven, Andrew Yang, these are highly capable, patriotic, and courageous people. And I think that this is really what our country needs. And I know that all of you tuning in, hopefully most of you tuning in, agree with that. And you know, it's really important that we make our voices heard and that we really show people that this is the leadership that we deserve. And this ranked choice vote has helped surface these fantastic nominees. And so I think that really, in a way, this is a proof of concept. You know, it's a slam dunk so far in terms of democratic process and what the American spirit's all about. So I'm really excited for the next steps. And I think this is just, you know, the first really exciting thing that we're doing here. And now we have candidates, and that's what a lot of you have been asking about for weeks now, months maybe we've been at this for months. I've lost track. But now that we have the candidates and we have our tickets, I would love to know what do you guys think comes next? You know, how do we bring more people on board? And I think Noah can fire off that question to Democracy AI so that I'm not just asking you in rhetorical fashion. And I think that it's really important that we keep in mind that leadership is about teamwork, and the teams that we've created are crucial to our survival as a country.
Absolutely. And very quickly, before we jump into the exciting work that's coming next, I want to talk about something else that's coming next. If you're a numbers guy like me, you want to know everything. And so for those who are curious about the process, we're collating all the data to issue a report about how the voting process went. And that's going to be coming out soon with all the facts and figures that your heart desires. So those among you who like zeros and ones and want to dive into the details, you will be pleased.
Great, and we'll be waiting to see the results from Democracy AI. I think there is one expected question or important consideration that we expect to hear a lot, and that is, hey, it's August 31st. So what in hell can you do to get on the ballot? And we have an answer for that. We are releasing our ballot access plan very soon, in the next 24 hours. It does not require a write-in. It will get us ballot access in all 50 states if executed successfully. And the most important thing for you to know now is that it is contingent on a groundswell. We need to demonstrate the support for this ticket and make this happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're really excited to release the ballot access plan. I think this is really going to level us up, with the ticket and the plan, and we are ready to go. We're getting some answers coming in now from Democracy AI in response to the question, what can the Unity 2020 campaign do to increase groundswell support? So let's see, we have demonstrate that we deserve better, inspire that if not now, when, maybe never. Ask people to suspend disbelief, to let go of cynicism, dream of something bigger. And I lost it, it disappeared. But I think that we might be experiencing some technical difficulties with the questions. So I'm sorry about that.
I think I know what that was
asked
asking.
Before. Yeah. Sorry about that, people.
I think there's enough to riff on there, though, because we've already achieved a couple of impossible things. Just being completely people-powered, not accepting any money for even the group that we have right now to have self-organized in this way would have been impossible just a few short years ago. So there's no reason to believe that we can't continue to scale it. And I think one of the things that we can all do in our messaging, and sort of when we're, everyone has to convince themselves before they can really convince others. And something that's been very convincing to me is that we have a super saturated solution of the American populace that is fed up, completely fed up with the lesser of two evils, the polarization, right? We have the data to know that there is this exhausted middle, and the only thing stopping them from being able to have their voices heard and to rise up and be the adults in the room of the American political conversation is this sort of sense of resignation, or this sense that they're the only one. It really is an emperor's new clothes style scenario. And if we can realize that, then we can realize that, okay, it might be really hard to have conversations with groups. It might be really hard to stick your neck out there on social media and get the predictable objections of like, oh, you're a spoiler for the other guy, yada yada yada. But if you have those one-on-one conversations, you will very quickly realize how many people have ears to hear what we're talking about. We just have to be willing to have those conversations.
The word "suspend your disbelief" was in one of the answers, and I think there's a way to say that in a way that doesn't sound quite so fanciful, and that is, we can get all the way there with a contingent pledge, right? This is not take yourself off into a world of your imagination and you get the candidates you want. This is just saying we have a plan that is spoiler proof. If we do not have access to sufficient states and their ballots to achieve the 270 electoral votes needed to win the presidency, we call this off. We tell people to vote their conscience, and 2020 plays out as it would have without Unity 2020. we are, in fact, a group that draws equally from the left and the right. And that's an important mechanism in how we build our support. But if you're talking to someone who is not thrilled about their candidate, let them know that this is, just consider it. This is a pledge. If we seem like we are capable of delivering this, vote for it and sign up. Do the token aspect of demonstrating support for this movement that will show our numbers sufficient that everyone can, come out at once and say, yes, I do believe in unity. Right? You're watching us on the screen here, and we're that set of crazy people who are saying, no, I actually think we need to do something right now, and we're going to do it even if I'm the only one in the country trying to do it. And that, thank God that Brett stepped up and put a banner for all of us to meet each other, and it's been really wonderful to do that. But it doesn't have to be that hardcore group of supporters doing everything, right? It's getting the groundswell also means just that when polls are run, that when media personalities are talking to people, that someone will already have heard of Unity, and they'll say, yeah, well, that's a cool idea. If it works, I would prefer those to Crenshaw and Gabbard to Trump or Biden, and I think that's a wider portion of the American people than we might be giving ourselves credit for. So consider that. It doesn't require fanciful thinking, but it can just be a contingent pledge. Support Unity if it's going to work, and talk to your friends about it.
Yeah, instead of suspend your disbelief, how about suspend your cynicism, right? Suspend your nihilism. Have some hope and do what Americans do well, which is impossible things.
Yeah, exactly. And so our audience has, there's a resounding consensus here about going on the Joe Rogan show. So Joe, I don't know if you're available, when you're available, but your fellow patriots are calling on you we need the candidates to go on a podcast tour with Rogan, send the candidates to Joe Rogan. Sorry, not to put you on the spot. This is not on you, but this is what the people want.
I think Joe Rogan should come on a campfire. Something tells me he could probably tell some great ghost stories.
I would think so too. And a lot of getting out to the media. We need as many influencers as possible. Talking more to Tucker Carlson, lots of podcasts. So, we really need to get the word out there. And now that we have tickets, it's not on Brett, it's on all of us, and it's on all of us to really get the word out there. And let's see. So I think Noah, did we ask for audience questions? Has that happened yet? No, not quite. Let me see what else we got from the audience there on that one. Here, it's firing off now. So what questions would you like to ask your fellow patriots tuning in? Wonderful. So while you guys are answering those questions, here we go. So this question was asked: what, if anything, can you do to increase groundswell support? So this is asking the audience what they can do. So our first answer is to continue to talk it up on our corners of the internet and with our connections. Talk to others, talk about it. And Ryan, this really speaks to your point earlier about having conversations, and it's that one-to-one, and helping people get out of the groupthink and being comfortable with disagreement and not labeling people based on snap assumptions. I really think that's a great way to start. Someone here said talk to fellow law students. That's an interesting response. Do you guys have any take on that?
Having spent a long time in law school. I mean, I think you talk to everyone, and everybody knows the parable about the grains of rice doubling on a chessboard, right? If every one of us, everyone tuned into this call, and everyone on the mailing list convinced one person to sign a tentative pledge saying, hey, if we pulled a rabbit out of our hat and got this ticket on the ballot in all 50 states, would you support it? And if every day we can get one person to sign that pledge, and they get 1 person a day thereafter to sign this pledge. We're at double the American electorate by election day, which is to say that the curve of exponential growth, even with just a couple short months ahead of us before election day, we can make that curve happen, and we can grow it. It's just going to take everyone's commitment and everyone's steady work.
And if you think back to, I think, some of the core reasons why this movement has started and why it's drawn so many people who are willing to put so much energy into it right now, there is a deeper story here that our republic really is in jeopardy right now. And it doesn't seem that our leadership is capable of course correction. And so if you're looking for something to do to support unity, you can also participate in that problem. You can step in where friends, acquaintances, family members are getting into really heated debates or just straight up yelling at each other over politics. You can absorb negativity. You can do in micro what we need our ticket to do in macro from the bully pulpit, from the seat of the presidency. So yes, if we're going to win, we need everyone full cylinders going at gaining names, gaining email addresses, showing that support. But the deeper project is saving the republic. And so if you're looking for something to do, there's in every city in America, in every town in America, there is things going wrong right now because of hyper-partisanship, because of being totally incapable of hearing the other side, of dehumanizing the other side. And in your individual personal interactions, you can actually make a difference there as well. So please don't think that this is just a Ponzi scheme to gain names. We are trying to save the republic here, and you can do that from your own home, from wherever you interact with people.
And tell us those stories, please. Because I think we all need to share with each other the good and the bad, but the motivation and the psychological good that happens when you're not the only one trying to strive to peace in this country. For all the hours that I've put in, I think the best psychological thing that has happened to me by being involved with Unity2020 is that I'm interacting with all of you instead of scrolling through Twitter. And the difference between those two environments is night and day. So if you're looking for a healthier community to spend your time and accomplish something worthwhile in the world, come join us. It's a good crew, and we're definitely better than Facebook and Twitter feeds to scroll through a couple hours a day.
Agreed. Yeah, the Slack is more than a scroll, I'll tell you that. So one of the questions that I really liked from the audience was, how do you feel about the movement now that the ticket has been announced? And I think that question, so Noah, if you don't mind firing that question off to our audience, I think what that question asks is what it implies is that Unity2020 it goes beyond the 2020 election. It's really a movement, and it's an idea that we need to carry forth in order to really bring our society to a place where we can grow and progress and talk to each other and have a Thanksgiving dinner that is tolerable. And what's interesting is someone else asked, will you break the no politics at Thanksgiving rule? So maybe while the audience is answering the question that we already put through Democracy AI, maybe Rylan and Ryan, I'd love to hear your thoughts on the no politics rule at Thanksgiving.
You could do a pretty good job of talking about Unity2020 without ever discussing politics. I'll say that much. There's enough in the values of what we're trying to do, of practical governance, of actually being responsible to the people who elected you. I think just the values underlying those would be sufficient to drive someone towards unity. So you don't need to name names if it will ignite a firestorm.
I'm going to leave that as it stands, because I keep trying to follow Rylan, and he just says it perfectly the first time. So I'm just going to leave that as it is.
But the question of what Unity becomes, right? That's right. If and when our candidates choose to start campaigning like mad, what do we do? What do we become? Well, I think we're the party broker. We're the representative of individuals who are interested in this concept of how do you actually do government given a huge amount of polarization and partisanship. We are a consultancy and a source of groundswell and I think a guiding body, and we'll certainly put everything we have into the campaign of our ticket when they start actively campaigning. But it is true that Unity is, it's distinct of the individual names, right? I think the solution and the recipe that we have that we need to execute on to really save this republic, it has to be bigger than any two individuals. That's the purpose of the draft, is that we the people get to decide and we get to push forward.
Mm-hmm.
It is, however, extremely exciting to have a ticket to rally around, right? I think the early adopter crew has a bias towards, certainly the type of audience that is attracted to, a Joe Rogan or a Brett Weinstein, has that sort of brain that gets really excited about abstract ideas, independent of the specifics. And that's what we've heard from our creator, people sort of Unity curious, is that they're like, give us some names. It's like, all right, we got some names for you. And it's exciting because I think that that banner to rally behind, I can feel myself getting a little bit electrified, even though I'm usually electrified enough by the abstract.
I agree, and I think a really important point that you're touching on is that what this is doing is it's revealing the leaders that aren't given a voice in the current two-party system. We see Trump and Biden, and if either of them are elected, then we'll have the oldest person ever elected into office. And I think that what the Unity ticket has done is it's really, it's taken people for their worth of character and for their values and for their ability to lead. And we happen to have a diverse, there are two people of color in our top two tickets. And I think that really speaks to the fact that when you really look for leadership in this country outside of these systems and structures that have been created to keep us to keep the status quo, you really find leaders who are so capable and who represent the diversity of America in full. And I think that's something really important to keep in mind, is that, our leaders are here. We need to find them. And so that's what we're trying to do.
Do we have some results from Democracy AI?
We do. We've had a little bit of a technical issue, so I'm a little lost on let's see. So now that we have potential candidates to draft, how can we bring more people on board? Which we might have already asked iterations of before. But I think that, some of these are really important. People are talking about the media, they're talking about getting people out there and really bringing the candidates to light and getting this message out there on different media platforms. And funny enough, I'm sure most of you know that we were banned from Twitter. The Articles of Unity account was banned last Thursday night, and our URL was also obstructed from access on Twitter. And so we really need your help. It's been really hard to communicate. And while we have Brett who can tweet, and we can use, he can tweet things for us and things like that. This goes beyond, one person. This is really about us. It's about the people, the American people. And so while the media, we can try to get on Joe Rogan, we can try to get on the portal and different things like that. I think that what's important is to know that it starts with you, which we keep saying, but it's all on us. And if we all share the load, then it's not that heavy.
I think that what you're alluding to there is an important constraint of the year 2020, which is we, by virtue of how we started, are biased towards the internet. Right? That's That's just the plain truth of our movement. And getting from the internet into the real world is particularly challenging during a pandemic. So this is an open question. We talk about it all the time among the volunteers, and how exactly we're going to make this happen. And we've, ideas of getting one Unity person in every municipality or state capital or things like that, and just starting to create a geographic presence. Trying to tag yourself, starting to do anything you can that shows you physically supporting Unity. Put flyers up. Think about how you can bring the concepts and the energy here into the real world, given that everyone is socially distancing and walking around in masks. This is, it's an open movement. So please let us know your ideas, show us what's working. We are here to not only try to come up with the ideas and execute them, but just amplify good ideas, good thinking, good people. The three of us are on this call by virtue of having spent a large number of hours working and volunteering with Unity, and for no other deeper reason. So if you've got the expertise in campaign management, if you've figured out how to sell stuff during COVID, if you figured out how to do other things in this realm, please let us know. Tweet at us, show us what's happening, and we will reinforce it with everything we have.
Yeah. That's so true, and it brings you back to the team. We have such a great team. But Ryan, I think I interrupted you. Go on.
See, now I don't want to say anything because I had a couple seconds to realize that Rylan said it already. I would just be cliff noting everything he said. But yeah, I'll echo it and just say, now is the time. We are the people, and you are the people watching this. You don't have to wait up. You can get started, and do what you can do where you are, and we'll have your back.
So the results aren't finished yet from this question, but I just saw one that's I think really good to hit on. Someone asked, why do we have 2 tickets? And I think this is by nature of the ranked choice voting. And so I don't know if either of you want to talk a little bit about why why we announced 2 votes or two tickets. I think that's a really important part of what we're doing here.
I can talk a little bit about the announcement. We wanted to tell y'all basically what the results of the final round were, right? Which is where it came to a head-to-head. So in order to give some indication about where the percentages were without boring everyone on this announcement call, that seems like a reasonable set of first announcements. Like I said, we're going to be issuing the full report, which will have all the percentages across of all the rounds, et cetera, but we wanted to keep it kind of short and sweet. The other thing, to Rylan's point, right, is that this is a draft, right, and 2020 has been showing us curveball after curveball, and Unity2020 is a nimble organization designed to save the Republic from this crazy polarization. And I speak for myself here, but our job does not start and end with the Oval Office. Our job is to keep this country together, and the current operating plan centers around the Oval Office, and the sub plans within it center around the draft of 1 ticket or a secondary ticket. But we are an agile organization, and we're going to be agile moving forward.
Well said.
Yeah.
Coming from you, that means a lot, buddy.
Okay, so we have a question here. This next question, I think, really it really drives Unity2020 home and what we're doing here and what we're trying to do with and for the American people. So the question is, how would you overcome Gabbard's and Crenshaw's opposition across the aisle or on their own sides of the aisle? And I think that, I don't necessarily view it as opposition. I think that they have their courage of conviction, and they are not afraid to speak for what they believe is right. And they're not going to stay on their side of the aisle simply because everyone else on that side of the aisle is saying one thing. And I think that that's something that's really important about all of our candidates, and particularly Gabbard and Crenshaw. They've expressed, that they are friends and that they really find value in each other, even if they disagree pretty heavily on some political issues. They can come together and they can see the value in each other, and they can work as a team. As the Unity 2020 electorate has voiced, they think that this team is worthy of the presidency. And so that would be my answer to that. Yeah. I don't know if either of you have another response or anything to add.
I like it. I would just add, and I'm having that same problem where you're hard to follow, Elizabeth.
Ryan, please, you're prolific.
No, my hair is prolific. I think the real question is, if we create this critical mass, or when we create this critical mass, when you all and we all create this critical mass to show our ticket how much of a demand there is for them to step up to the plate, it's going to be quite evident, not just to them, but also the people in their parties, that this demand exists among the American electorate. Right? This is the seed crystal in a supersaturated solution that needs just a little bit of agitation for all the dissatisfaction, not only within the electorate, but also within party apparatuses, right? And I think that, if we can not only get our ticket to join together, but if we could get the good minds and the honest hearts within the two major parties to step out of line in their circular firing squad and actually, rally behind Unity while still being members of their parties, I think that's very likely, and so much the better.
Candidates, politicians, every one of our top six, just like the rest of us, do respond to incentives. And so for any ticket composed of someone who can plausibly speak for the left and someone who can plausibly speak for the right, especially a sitting politician, they basically just need to be shown that there's enough support somewhere outside of their party, right? The vast majority of congressional districts are so safe from a left-right perspective that the only threat you face is a primary challenger. And the thing that we need to understand about, especially sitting politicians when we're thinking about this draft, is that in order to have any influence on the government, on policy in our world today, you need to make alliances. And the parties are so strong that they can ask an awful lot from you in terms of displays of loyalty, just to get your hand slightly on those levers of policy that actually let you make a difference in the lives of your constituents. And so if you're concerned that if we elect someone from the left and someone from the right, that they'll be totally incapable of working together, that they'll sound like a bad Thanksgiving dinner, I think that's just not true. The power of the presidency enables you to do things that you can't do when you are living hand to mouth, fearing a primary challenge from your own party.
Mm-hmm. So we are closing out here, and we have some questions from the audience about how they can find each other, and about how they find their local Unity 2020 friends. I think, Rylan, to your point earlier about the pandemic and COVID and just how isolated we've all been in the last 7 months. This community has been really, I think really instrumental in showing you not only are people there, but people are there that you can very happily disagree with and get things done, which I think is something that we've lost sight of in the grander, maybe in our grander settings. So with that, so we do have some housekeeping where we'll address, where you can find each other. But I just wanted to give you guys a moment for any closing words or anything you wanted to say as we close the ticket announcement Campfire, which we're so excited about.
Rylan?
I would say that Unity 2020 and Unity it's an aspiration as much as anything else. It's something that you can attempt to embody. And no one is ever going to be able to judge you on whether or not you're succeeding at doing that. But I've seen it exemplified, embodied in a lot of the people I've met here. And that gives me something that I can continue to shoot for. Again, we're trying to literally save the Republic. Not everyone sees that it's in the jeopardy that those of us who are actively volunteering believe it is. But the skill set and the character of someone who is actively striving to embody those values is something worth doing. So consider doing that if nothing else. Amen.
And to the point of where can we find our fellow Unity 2020 supporters, we are just working as hard as we can to enable that as much as possible. But I'll tell you what, just yesterday, I was interacting with a friend who I never would have thought would be political at all, let alone be aware of Unity 2020, and he brought up to me like, oh, you heard about this Unity 2020 thing? And I was just like, yeah. And I wouldn't have, it was the first inkling of sort of that, that kismet effect where the viral growth of the network circles around and it comes at you from an angle that you weren't really expecting. So start looking for them. Start looking for the friends of yours that are like, if anyone I knew would be on this train in the early days, who would it be? Because you might surprise yourself.
Yeah, I like to call it Unity in the wild.
Yeah.
Find people out there. So one thing I want to make clear that I think we're seeing some questions on Twitter is that I want to make sure that people understand that the ranked choice vote went through 8 rounds of elimination. And to understand more of the complexity behind that, we are going to release our process plan or a process report shortly. So please stay tuned and you can see how that whole process went along. We're here for transparency. We want to make sure that you understand the process that we went through. So with that said, I just have a few notes for housekeeping for how you can keep, stay involved with Unity 2020 and how you can meet each other. So first, as always, encourage your family and friends to sign up for the email list. This is how you can stay up to date on everything we're doing. Come to more campfires. We are expanding our campfires to be much more, what's the word that I'm looking for? It's much more frequent. There you go. I was thinking sporadic. I was thinking the opposite. Anyway, so tomorrow we're having such an event. And so tomorrow we're holding a very special panel discussion and Campfire S'mores, where we'll discuss the Unity 2020's latest developments, like the ticket announcement today and some other stuff that you should all get excited for tomorrow. And you can get to know each other better in breakout rooms after and engage in dialogue about the issues that we all care about. We've had a ton of success with these before. I think the first one, some people stayed over 2 hours and chatted with each other for a long time. It's really important when you sort of find your people to hold on to them. So please stay tuned for that and sign up for the email list. If you're not already and you want to get involved with that session tomorrow, please sign up for our email list at articlesofunity.org. And then the last thing that I want to mention is how you can engage with your fellow patriots right now after Campfire and beyond. So this is not just Campfire S'mores right after. This is every day of the week, 24/7, whenever you want to get on there. Get on profiles.articlesofunity.org. And it's a discussion board, a site where you can engage with people, through written dialogue and let your voice be heard. So again, that's profiles.articlesofunity.org. And with that, I really want to thank Ryan and Rylan for joining us here today and for everyone, for our whole team. Our whole team is doing so much and we keep talking about them and it's just impossible not to because of all the amazing work that everyone's doing. So really, thank you everyone. And thank you to Brett and thank you to all of our supporters out there.
And thank you to Elizabeth.
Okay. Good night, everyone. Thank you.